It's an undeniable fact that the mental health of us teens is deteriorating. We're expected to take up countless responsibilities like learning to drive, getting a job, working ourselves half to death for exams, all while looking after our mental well-being. It's just not possible. On top of that, the dominance of social media and modern technology, while supplying benefits in some areas, does pile on pressure and expectations in others. COVID was another nail in our coffins, and not to mention the economy. It comes as no surprise that the rate of mental illness for young people in the UK is on the rise. A lot of help and support is available if you have the patience to wait for months on end, or if you have the privilege to afford private treatment. There is one treatment though, completely free of cost, that is alarmingly underutilised: nature. As a result of everyday stress and preoccupation, we've all become susceptible to what Louv calls nature deficit disorder. The non-fiction author and co-founder of the Children in Nature Network states that this is not a medical diagnosis, but rather a way to describe the growing gap between humans and nature. As Louv says in his book, The Nature Principle, every day our relationship with nature, or the lack of it, influences our lives. This has always been true, but in the 21st century, our survival, or thrival, will require a transformative framework for that relationship, a reunion of humans with the rest of nature. Now, that's not to say that you can heal extensive periods of trauma, burnout, and whatever myriad of mental health problems you have by touching grass. If it were really that simple, therapists would be made redundant and essential oil sellers would have no customers. Perhaps that's why so many teens, perhaps you, are so reluctant to go outside for the sake of mental well-being. If it won't fix all my problems, then why should I bother? If this sounds like you, then I hope I can explain why you should go outside more, incorporate nature into your day-to-day life, and work towards healing your relationship with nature. The sky's so pretty. You hopefully wouldn't jump into a relationship before getting to know the person first, which is why I'm going to define nature before you jump to first base. You may think this would be easy, but even the Greek philosopher Aristotle couldn't define it. In the review article, What Does Nature Mean?, Ducharme and Covet explore the idea that nature is a pancrestin, a term that means so many different things to different people that it is useless as a theoretical framework or explanatory device. Ducharme and Covet suggested that writers avoid the word altogether to avoid ambiguity and inaccuracy. So, how am I supposed to make a video about nature if I can't use the word nature? Well, the authors of research papers that I've read have used the word nature, but made it intrinsically clear how they would define it or scientifically investigate it. Being an English language A-level student, I wrote my own nature definition: an unmeasurable, dynamic feeling of connectedness to oneself, other species and the environment, and well-being, mental, physical, emotional and spiritual. For me, nature is what home is to many people, a feeling. I also believe we are nature. You might think I'm being eccentric or outright wrong, but that's the beauty of nature being a pancrestin. It gives us the opportunity to create our own definitions and reflect on what it means to us personally. For the sake of this argument, however, I will be referring to the idea of being outside and how going outside can help the mental health of us teens. I don't want to make this all about me, but I do want to share my experience with you. Who knows, maybe you'll find it inspiring. My mental health deteriorated significantly following the COVID-19 lockdowns. My anxiety made it difficult for me to leave the house on my own for fear of something bad happening to me and for fear of judgment. It was frustrating. I needed to be outside, not only for practicality, but because I knew staying cooped up inside, afraid of the outside world, was only making my mental health worse. So I reached out to my college counsellor, Stacey Cole, and began walk and talk therapy sessions. Walk and talk is a side-by-side discussion, incorporating the outside world to help others feel grounded, Stacey told me. It also takes away any emphasis being face-to-face. Being outdoors with a professional I could trust gave me the boost I needed to open up and explore the nitty-gritty of my brain. Stacey explained that being outdoors can help the mental health of anyone, particularly overly stressed teenagers. It is known that individuals who work in outdoor areas show an increased blood flow in the amygdala, responsible for processing fearful and threatening stimuli. Being outdoors can help promote a sense that is taken away from isolation and the feeling of being alone. This is something associated to all being outside, and the sense of being grounded by associating feelings with nature. In our first session, we walked to the local nature reserve and sat by the pond as we began exploring my issues with body image and self-confidence. A few sessions later, we walked past the same pond, and Stacey observed that the contentment I presented after coming out to my dad's stepmom reflected the tranquility of the water. Stacey shared a quote when I asked why she offers walk and talk to her clients. Spending time in natural outdoor spaces nurtures our physical, emotional and spiritual existence, enabling us to sense, think, feel and act as independent beings, interconnected with the whole community of life. It was during my time with Stacey that my dog, Honey, was put to sleep. This was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. She was the light of my life, my little ray of sunshine and hope. The openness and freedom I created from working on my anxiety and being outside was buried by thick, black fog. Grief. When my granddad died in 2017, my family and I found solace in seeing him and his cheeriness, in sunflowers and robins. Losing Honey was no different. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I slowly began noticing her. I first noticed her in deer. The night we lost Honey, a muntjac trotted past our door as we waited for the vet. Its demeanour, colour, size, face all resembled her. Then I noticed her in the bees and the buttercups and butterflies, all things yellow, including the sun herself. I have always had the belief that all beings in nature are equal, and that we are all connected on a spiritual level. I'm thankful that despite my grief, I clung on to this belief, and although grief will never be an easy thing to go through, noticing my loved ones in nature not only comforted me, but also encouraged me to go back outside. I'm sure you know that being outside can make you feel better, and a lack of the outside world can be detrimental to our health. I mean, there's a reason we tell people to touch grass and get fresh air and go outside and so on if they're feeling disconnected or unwell. The effect nature plays on all aspects of health has been theorised about and studied by people for yonks, and there is undoubtable evidence that nature has a positive effect on mental health. The researcher Rita Berto found significant evidence that exposure to the outdoors, or restorative environments as she calls them, increases the rate of recovery from psycho-physiological stress. In other words, if you're feeling stressed, get outside and you'll feel better sooner. Similar findings were documented by Burnham, Jones and Kaplan. They explored how rural environments, compared to urban environments, affected the attention of participants. They found from their experiments that a walk in the park can improve the attention restoration of participants when completing tasks using directed attention, which is a type of attention, according to Kaplan and his attention restoration theory, where attention is directed by cognitive control processes, compared to involuntary attention, which is where attention is captured by inherently intriguing or important stimuli, such as an outdoor environment. Taken together, these experiments demonstrate the restorative value of nature as a vehicle to improve cognitive functioning. Stressed about exams? Take a walk in the park, and revising will be a walk in the park. I think I'm really funny, don't I? A systematic review paper by Tillman, Tobin, Avison and Gilliland showed their findings from using AI to test the reliability of 35 papers on a specific topic of mental health benefits of interactions with nature in children and teenagers. They found, and I quote, "This review shows significant positive findings on the benefits of nature for all mental health outcomes. However, ADD/ADHD, overall mental health, stress, resilience, and HRQOL, health-related quality of life, were the only outcomes that demonstrated more positive significant findings over non-significant findings. So we certainly can't rely on nature to cure us, but there are clear benefits for our brains by being outside. Treatments that incorporate the outdoors, such as walk and talk and more broadly ecotherapy, which according to the UK charity Mind involves getting outdoors and getting active in a green environment as a way of boosting mental well-being, are utilising the research that has been conducted in organisations such as Mind or promoting nature to those who are struggling. But if you are in the position where you want to hurt yourself or put yourself at risk or end your life, please call the crisis hotline or contact a professional. The cobwebs.
They're so shiny. I always wonder how spiders get them to go from one end to the other. I like to think that they jump.
I won't act like a disconnect from our outside environment is an easy fix, especially when there is already so much we have to worry about. But researchers, and I'm sure you, know that it's such a vital thing to fix and that it's so beyond worth it. So how exactly can we improve our relationship with the great outdoors? I'll try to remember to link some books and resources in the description if you'd like to further your knowledge of how the outdoors can help mental health. But my advice is to simply go outside. Put on shoes, or don't. Step outside and take a deep breath of fresh air. Look around you, look at the ground, look high above. Let your eyes wander and notice. Let your soul breathe. It doesn't have to be difficult. If you have the time, sign up for conservation voluntary work, or do some gardening, go for an outdoor adventure. The possibilities of the outdoors are endless. Being outside can be your escape from daily struggles, stress and strife, and it can improve the way you recover from and deal with them too. Reconnect with your world and with yourself. You probably need it more than you think.